Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word of sincerity and truth. So I wanted to get into this topic. Um, it stems from class last night. We were talking about, not solely about it, but most of the conversation got into a sacrifice and how we, let's say it this way, when you're in the right frame of mind, are in this constant state of sacrifice, right? When you think of each small church or each small sanctuary, as the scriptures say, they are altars that we are making sacrifices on. And with us being in this this low state, we're gonna always be in. I think the word is prostration. Let me see if I'm saying that right. Give me 1 second. Yeah, prostration. The state of laying stretched out on the ground with one's face downward, extreme physical weakness or emotional exhaustion, right? So that's the state you're in when you're praying, right? When you're down on your knees with your face downward, that is a position of supplication. That is a position of uh, let's say you are submitting to the will of the Heavenly Father, right? I always imagine when the Lord Yahweh Shai was praying. Matter of fact, let's do this. Yeah, let's go to this. Let's go to this. Let's go to this. Matthew 26. Matthew 26 and 40. Let's see what we get here. Let's go up a little bit. Let's start at 36 here. This is Matthew 26 and 36. It says, unto a place called Gethsemane, and saith unto his disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then saith he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. And he went a little further, right, and looked, and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O Father, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. Right? So, with us being in this prostrated position, this bowing and this prayed position, we are constantly making sacrifices, just like you would in times of old when we had the priesthood. We would go to make sacrifices for sin. You might make a peace offering, right? But there was always sacrifices being had, but especially in times of, like I said, prostration, right? And so a lot of what we do is sacrifice. Matter of fact, excuse me, let's go here really quick. This is Let's go to 34 here. This is Matthew 10 and 34. It says, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household. Right? Here's the point. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And so these are a couple of examples of the sacrifice you make for the truth, right? You have to put away that that love. Let's say it this way: you have to put on the back burner the love that you have for your family, the love that you might have for your mom, the love you might have for your father, your children, your wife. Those things have to be on the back burner, and this truth has to be in the forefront, right? Let me go to where was I at? Let's use this one. I want to go to. Mhm. Let's go up in here and see if there's anything else. Mm-hmm. So let me read this in Philippians. The point here is in 16, but I'll read it from 14. It says, do all things without murmurings and disputings, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of the Most High, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world. And here's the point: holding forth the word of life. Right. So that's going to be in the forefront. The love that you have from for your family has to be put aside for the truth. Right. Your kids might want to play, right, but your mind has to be focused on the truth. Right. Your wife might want to go out to dinner, but your mind has to be focused on the truth. Right. Yeah. They might be trying to convince you to go on a cruise, but your mind has to be on the truth, right? Especially as we get closer and closer to the end of this thing, right? And so again, we are set in uh, this constant sacrifice, and not only do you sacrifice the love that you have for other people, but you also sacrifice yourself, right? And going back to Matthew 26, he says it here. He says, let this cup pass from me, nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. So you also have to sacrifice uh, even your own wants and desires, even your own wishes, or even your own personal thoughts of how you think things should go. There's a constant sacrifice that we have in this truth, or that we perform in this truth, right? And it has to happen with regularity, right? And so that was the conversation that we were having, and it as spiritual conversations tend to do, it spiraled into suffering, right? Because when you're sacrificing, right, you are losing something, right? Matter of fact, let me go to this where it says, "He that findeth his life, oops, shall lose it." Yeah, Matthew 10 and 39. Wow, same chapter over there. So Matthew 10 and 39, it says, "He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it." Right. And again, that's that sacrifice, and that there's suffering in sacrifice, because you're losing, yeah, the things that you've come to know, the things that you've come to love, the comforts that you've come to get used to, right? You're losing all of those things, and so there's a suffering that goes on, and it reminded me of the scripture in First Peter, as we were talking about it last night. But I wanted to get into it again. Um, so let's start. Let's start here at verse 12. It says, 1 Peter 4 and 12, beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you as though some strange thing happened to you, right? Let me see what that says in NLT. Dear friends, don't be surprised at the fiery trials you are going through as if something strange were happening to you. All right, so pretty much the same thing. But the point is this, right? And it's truth. We go through fiery trials, right? What does it say? Let's go over here. What does it say? And I think that's Second Ezra's. Is it Second Ezra's? No, it's not. It's Sirach. Sirach 2 and 10. Or is it 5? Yep, 5. This is Sirach 2 and 5. It says, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity, right? So that's the fiery trial, right? That fiery trial, that the suffering that we go through, being in this truth, right? And Paul is going to make a really good distinction here that I really want to touch on. And this is, part of what we talked about last night, but I'm going over it again. So it says, beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's suffering, right? Because what happened? Matter of fact, let's go here. What happened due to the Lord's suffering? I think that's how it goes. Let's go to Google real quick. Oops. Let's try that. Let's go back over here. I think that's the one though. Bear with me for a second. Yeah. Hebrews 5 and 8. Yeah. Yep. This is Hebrews 5 and 8. It says, though he were a son, yet he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. Right. So when we talk about um, being partakers, right? Let's look at that word, partakers.
Strong's G 2841, koinoneo. Koinoneo.
All right. To come into communion or fellowship with, to become a sharer, be made a partner, to enter into fellowship, join oneself to an associate, make oneself a sharer or partner, right? So we are sharing in the tribulation. If we expect to be joint heirs, right? So we're also sharing in his suffering. He made the ultimate sacrifice in that he gave his life, right? So these small sacrifices in comparison to his are light, right? Like Elder Apostle Gabar always brought out and still does. This is our duty, right? This is what is our duty to do, right? Okay. So it says, but rejoice in as much as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. Right. So we want to be glorified along with him. Okay. So we also have to take part in those sufferings, right? But what are those sufferings, right? What are they, right? That's important to note here, especially here in Peter's. I said Paul, but I should say Peter. It says, "If ye be reproached for the name of Hamashiach, happy are ye, for the spirit of glory and of the Most High resteth upon you." Right. So that suffering is being reproached for the name of Hamashiach, right? Or for the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai, right? That's the suffering that's key. And Peter makes a distinction here between the suffering for the name of the Lord and the suffering for things that you do that are wrong. Okay, they're not the same, and you can't attribute the consequences uh, from the things that you do wrong to this uh, Christian suffering. It's not the same thing. They're two different things, and you have to be able to make the distinction between the two. It says, "If you be reproached for the name of Hamashiach, happy are ye, for the spirit of glory and of the Most High resteth upon you, and their part he." So, like, let me reproach for the name of Hamashiach, happy are ye, for the spirit of glory and of the Most High resteth upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters, right? So these are the things that are going to have some natural consequences to them, right? If you're a murderer or evildoer, these things are going to have natural consequences. And those consequences can't be attributed to, oh, the Lord is it got me suffering. No, no. You got yourself suffering, right? Um, let's go here. Hmm. Let's go here. Am I reading this? I'm not. Where am I at? Over there. Okay. So let's go to James. James 1. Was it 1 and 13? It said? Yeah. James 1 and 13. It says, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High. For the Most High cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Right? So going back to Peter, if these are the things you're doing, um, being a murderer or a thief or an evildoer or busybody, right? If you're doing these things, right, that you did that of your own lust. You can't take those consequences and say the Lord got me going through it. No, you got those consequences because you fell victim to your own lusts and your own desires, right? A lot of times, and I have to tell myself this, um, and if I'm counseling someone, I say this: you know what you're doing. You know, you in your mind, you know what you're doing, and you know why you're in the condition you're in, right? So don't lie to yourself, right? You know what you're doing is wrong, and much of your suffering comes from your bad decisions and bad choices or procrastination or whatever it is, right? Or being lustful. The Lord ain't doing those things to you. You're doing those things to yourself. Okay. And you have to make a distinction between the two. And it's very easy to make the distinction, right? If you're out on the highways and byways, okay, and you get persecuted because of that, you get people. I know we've had juice splashed on us and spit at, and got into scuffles, and those things are suffering for the Lord's sake because we're out there doing the work. But if you are out there, let's say, just simply put, being a nigga, those consequences that come with that are not, they have nothing to do with the Lord, because the Lord can't be tempted by those things. Neither he tempteth he any man, right? So the suffering is a Christian suffering, a holy suffering, the same suffering that the Lord Yahweh Shai was made to suffer. He suffered because of his ultimate commitment to what his task was. And there are also other men of the Lord who left that same example, like Daniel, Joseph, uh, and a litany of other men who suffered for the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? And so we have to have that same mindset and be prepared to suffer as well. And I know I keep talking about that quite a bit, but I'm going to continue to talk about it because that's the time we're in. We are approaching the hour of temptation, right? So in that hour of temptation, we're going to be made to suffer things, but make sure that if you have to endure some suffering, that it be because you were on the right side of the line, so to say. All right. So this is verse 16. It says, "Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, right, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify the Most High on this behalf." Right. So we're not going to have anything to be ashamed of, because the Lord was glorified for his sacrifice and his suffering. Okay. And so we don't have anything to be ashamed of in that matter, if we indeed suffer as Christians, right? Um, so let's read this. Touches on it a little bit more. This is Matthew 19 and 27. It says, "Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Yahweh Shai said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel." Right? And so, um, what was Peter saying here? He said, look, man, we gave away everything, right? We have forsaken all. So what are we going to get? Right? And so the Lord told him, look, if you follow me, right, lock, stock, and barrel, right, no questions asked, these are the things you're going to get. Verse 29, "And everyone that forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive an hundredfold and shall inherit everlasting life." So those sacrifices are going to come with a reward. That suffering of loss is going to come with a reward, right? Let's see, what was this one? I read that one already. Um, mm, yeah, let's go here. This is Philippians 3 and 7. It says, "But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Hamashiach," right? "Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Hamashiach Yahushua my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things," right? "And do count them but dung, that I may win Hamashiach, and be found in him, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Hamashiach, the righteousness which is of the Most High by faith, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings." See? the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death, if by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead. Not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which also I am apprehended of a Mashiach, Yahweh Shai. Yeah, I think I read this in the NLT last night. I'll read it again. Mm. This is, let me see. Boom, look at this. Verse 7, it says, I once thought these things were valuable, but now I consider them worthless because of what Hamashiach has done. Yes, everything else is worthless when compared with the infinite value of knowing Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, my Lord. For his sake, I have discarded everything else, counting it all as garbage so that I could gain Hamashiach and become one with him. I no longer count on my own righteousness through obeying the law. Rather, I become righteous through faith in Hamashiach. For the Most High's way of making us right with himself depends on faith. I want to know Hamashiach and experience the mighty power that raised him from the dead. I want to suffer with him, sharing in his death, so that one way or another I will experience the resurrection from the dead. I don't mean to say that I have already achieved these things or that I have already reached perfection, but I press on to possess that perfection for which Hamashiach Yahweh Shai first possessed me. No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus, on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which the Most High through Hamashiach Yahweh Shai is calling us. See, and when you even when you're training for a race, right? What is that? That's sacrifice. That's suffering, right? And so it's just something that we covered in class. Big difference between suffering as a Christian and suffering as an evildoer, right? And that's it, man. That's really all I had. That's really all I had. The elder just put a show up too. So that's all I had. Hopefully that was edifying. We rounding the end of this thing, man. We rounding the end of this thing, and it's been a beautiful, beautiful for me personally. I'm a low man on a totem pole, if you will, and so these things fascinate me. The truth fascinates me. To see all the things that the Lord said would happen, all the things that we've been teaching all this time is now coming to pass, right? And so it's fascinating to me. So hopefully, um, that was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Honor and salutations to the elect. With that, I say shalom.